Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer, also trained in interspecies communication and all the other psychic skills, which I use to collect information to share with you to make this process of evolution at this time of such an incredible change, so that the process will be um, less filled with anguish, insecurity. It's very important that our consciousness be in a rather tranquil state with what we're calling now the ascension process, which is a type of mini death of the old us, the old world. And in Buddhism, it is said that since the monks are born, since they're small, they are working on the state of their consciousness to ensure that the moment that they die, their state of consciousness is clear. And in that way, they wake up in the other dimensions when their physical body is dead, and they are not going to be misled by spirits that are lost or spirits that are soldiers of the devil, all sorts of types that could lead them astray. They will be clear enough to know where it is that they need to go and what they need to do. I don't know where they need to go and what they need to do. I do know that there is nobody that I respect more than the Buddhist having to do with the process of dying, the death process, and then the rebirth. Very important. So, being as tranquil as possible, which is like almost impossible today with the news, but having the techniques to where you can actually stay connected to what's really going on out there, not immersed in it, not drowning in it, but kind of knowing what's going on. And then having techniques that can bring you back to center, such as the mantras, is very important. If not, you're looking at the world, you're looking at the news, you're looking at everything through a distorted filter that is dirty. Now, in my training with the government, we were not allowed to work with or read anything psychically that we had a connection to. I couldn't do anything having to do with Cuba or the islands, but also many other things that I had a connection to, because our connection to something creates an emotional reaction and thoughts. And that creates a filter to the information that comes in psychically. The information that comes in goes through a filter of knowledge, of cultural beliefs, schooling, traumas, information that you have inside of you. So if you're connected to something, you are born someplace, or you know about this situation, you simply weren't allowed or chosen to read that because your information would be polluted by what you already know. And the whole point of being a psychic and intuitive is to bring in pure information that is not tainted, because your windshield is tainted with belief systems, religious training, etc. So, very important to be able to recuperate, purify, and put away stuff that's very negative, but that for whatever reason you ran into, you read about, has to do with you, and to be able to get back to center. You can't choose what's going to impact your world today. To a certain extent, we're all victims of a system that's collapsing, a system that's getting rebuilt, but we don't know where it is or how that's happening, etc. Um, but we can ensure that we have techniques that can help to keep us clear. Our religions have not done a good job. Lots of hand holding, lots of talking about spirituality, no talking about spirits. Spirituality, spirits, no. They may talk about the spirits that the devil controls, but I think, and some angels, they do love talking about angels. The problem is that the angels are not the problem, it's the other spirits. And it's not even the devilish spirits, which are a problem, but the in between spirits too. Your relatives that died, and they died poorly, what the Buddhists tried to avoid. They died poorly, and they're wandering around in between dimensions or in the dimensions they're not supposed to be in, and they still have an influence on the people in the physical dimension, especially the people that they're connected to, or if they're connected to a place. And then it's called a haunting. The haunting can be by your father that died 20 years ago, and he never went off to the light, to the channel of light, or wherever it is that they're supposed to go. Don't really know a lot about that process. The Buddhists do, and they have a book which I love, but I don't understand, and it's called Rebirth, Life, Death, and whatever. It's the title seems to be reversed, but it has a lot of detail. I think I'm going to go back and read it one day when I'm more relaxed. Now that I've moved and I feel more tranquil and I feel more secure, maybe I'll go back and read it and I'll be able to share some more stuff. The point of the matter is, we are in a process of evolution. We're in a process of consciousness change. Whenever there is a consciousness change, such as when you're a baby, you're going to be born, your consciousness, when you're in your mother's stomach, uterus, however that's said more elegantly than I just said it, is one thing. And then the process of being born is really waking up to a bigger world. And it is a time in which there should be a lot of protection, because those times in which we have, it's like an initiation process. Those times is when we need more assistance and protection. So a lot of societies, when babies are born, just like when people die, there's a process of and rituals and prayers to help that soul. When you have an orgasm, that is an initiation. It is a process. It's a change of your consciousness shifts dimensions. Nobody does rituals to protect orgasms. We don't even protect our beds. Everything transfers energy to you in thoughts and images. And when there's traumas, the objects around you, including your bed, absorb it. So if you have an issue with being impotent, or the person that you're with, or the person that you go to bed with, or yourself, you're exhausted all the time. And all you want to do by the time you hit the bed is you just want to die, because that means you can sleep forever and you can maybe not be so tired. That energy is absorbed by the mattress, the sheets, the comforter, the walls, and you need to purify that continuously, because when you go to sleep, you have a shift of consciousness. And of course, when you go to sleep, that's when those really bad spirits come in. Now, how interesting that years ago I did 2 chats, because I didn't think one was going to be enough. I actually could have done half a chat because we got the information. I said to people, send me a picture of your bed, not you on the bed, just your bed. And I'm going to read it online. We're not going to say whose it is. And I'm going to send it if you have issues of insomnia. And so we got a lot of pictures, and every single person that had insomnia, when I would say, what's the root cause of them not being able to sleep? It was spirits. So when people talk about their child seeing a spirit at night, or saying there's something there, or they think that there's something in their bedroom, first place, I demand that they not use vague terms. Something? You mean there's a fly in your room? No, 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 no. Something. Something what? Well, no. A spirit? Well, I think so. Let's use the word. Let's get these concepts anchored. So when they tell me this, that they have issues, their kid has an issue, their house has an issue with a haunting, I say, you have to find out why it is that you can have spirits that are so comfortable in your home. Why? Because you see, if your house had the right vibration, that spirit couldn't be there. I just did a little um, clip in my new place, and I think 15,000 people saw it, which is very good for us. Being that we're not allowed numbers, this is like really good for us. And what I'm saying there is that in the place that I've moved, underneath the stairs, there's like a cubbyhole. Cubbyhole? It's a ghost paradise. It's dark, it's dank, there's no lights, the walls are not finished. You have to get to it, you have to kind of crawl into it, which I do not do. So what I've done since I got here is that I opened the doors to this cubbyhole, um, this spirit paradise, and I morning, noon, and night since I got here, 24 hours a day, unless there was company coming, and then I would close it. But if there wasn't company coming, it was open. And one of the days when I came back from shopping, there was this spirit snake, probably 3 or 4 feet thick and probably 30 feet long, coming out of that cubbyhole. Now, why was it coming out of the cubbyhole? It wasn't trapped in there. It was comfortable in there. Now, I didn't just open the doors. It's relatively near where I have a large TV and I put our mantra music on, which is purifying. I also bought bags of salt and I opened them up and I put them on the floor in there. Salt is the earth element. Spirits can't deal with the earth element. I also sprayed coconut. And this, I've been here, I guess, 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, this huge spirit in the shape of a snake got really uncomfortable and left. So you can do it too. Now, what I suggest to people if they have spirits is that they just leave their entire house, leave all of the closet doors open. Leave, and that if a door has been open against the wall for years because there's no really reason to close it, then you need to close it. In that space behind the door, spirits dwell there. The point has to do with beings being comfortable someplace and staying and then giving you grief and changing your vibration, and you recognizing that if you have a spirit in your home or in your body or in an organ, then there's something about you that is not quite right, that's maybe a little bit broken, that needs to be adjusted, and that you can adjust it. So taking responsibility for taking care of the other dimensions is something that needs to happen really, really, really quick now. We're dealing with so much trauma in our lives with all of these changes, and we're going to have much more trauma if a third world war starts, if the banks collapse. And the ETs are definitely coming, and we're going to have to deal with that. We should get our personal spaces in order because they influence us. They protect and nurture, or they take us down. You can move someplace and have your destiny change, such as the last place that I was in, which was a place where it was not supportive of prosperity. And when I moved to an island, a very rich island here in Miami, which was the home of the Cuban political mafia, so I ran out of there. I got thrown out of there very ungracefully, but I did incredibly well financially. It was supportive of that. And it wasn't the water, even though that was beautiful. That was an energy where a lot of wealthy people have been since the beginning, where there's a lot of business done there, and it has an energy. So what's the energy of where you live? If you spend all of your time looking at the news and going, "Oh my God, what more can happen? How we're gonna," you're going to have a really hard time because this is only going to get worse. It was predicted 5,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, last week. What are you doing to bring yourself back to center when you get horrifying news? What are you doing? And again, we offer techniques that are very easy, that are cost-free, and that are really based on information that's thousands of years old. And you can do yourself. You don't need anybody there with you. That's what we offer. There may be other things, but you need to trolley on over to other things, try them out. And our religions are not adequate. We have the whole thing with the Catholic Church is interesting. My granddaughter was born 15 years ago in December, and I will never forget because I stayed with my family, with my son and his wife when she was born. And I remember looking at the news, so that's why I remember when it was, because it was the week the baby was born. That particular baby was born, a beautiful angel, born into a family of dolphins and whales. Not easy. Oh, angelic consciousness. So, and the Vatican put out during Christmas, oh, these guys are so intelligent. They put out important news Friday afternoons or Friday right before the Christmas holidays or during Christmas vacation, something that you're going to react a lot to. And they want you to see the news, go, oh my God, and then trolley on home, and everybody's waiting. What are we going to do this weekend? These people are coming over. You don't even remember it because something more important physically in the moment takes precedent. So the guys that control us had that figured out decades ago. We're just figuring it out now. So anyway, Christmas holidays, the Vatican put out a press release and talked about their department that deals with ETs and the fact that they exist. And I don't remember why it was that they put that out that week. And I've told you this story before. And I remember it was on a radio show that week, and I mentioned it, and nobody had heard it. It was a press release about aliens and about the work that the Vatican was doing with them and the information, the name of the guy that ran the department or whatever in the Vatican. Nada reaction. Like a veil was over our eyes and nobody saw it. There's a lot of information out there, and there's like this veil over. Unless you're very determined, you're not going to get it. At which time, when the big news happens, whatever that big news happens to be, you're going to go into a state of shock. Guess what, guys? A state of shock is exactly what the bad spirits and the bad aliens want you to be in. They want you to be in a state of shock. What does that mean? When you're in a state of shock, your spirit, which is your emotional energy body, skips town. It gets out of your assemblage of bodies and it's kind of like floating away or just right next to you, but not pointed in the right direction and definitely not aligned with you. That leaves a space inside of you that a spirit can come in. And sometimes when the shocking information or event is kind of over, you never fully align again with your physical body, your spirit, which is the important part of you, because your physical body's a bag of bones. When it comes back in, it doesn't align perfectly. When was it that this happened in a very big way? After 9/11. After 9/11, and I put this, I was interviewed after 9/11 in Univision, and I had the sketches. Our spirit body was turned to the side. It wasn't aligned with the physical body. It's like my spirit body that looks just like this, except it's not in physical form. It was looking to the side. I was like, oh my God, if all of our leaders are in this state of shock, we're in trouble because first place, you're dizzy, your head's not clear, you're not efficient. When they say, may the force be with you, what they're saying is your spirit needs to be totally aligned with your physical body. And then you can see things right, get things right, understand, etc. And when within several months, when the spirit body kind of came back in again, it did not totally align. So in this country, after 9/11, we are no longer as quick, we're not as bright, we are not as clear, we don't understand as well, we have a lot more fear because we're not aligned. We are not aligned since 9/11. And then all the other stuff that's happening. And whenever the big event with ETs happens, people are going to do that again, except it might be worse. There are things happening today that are done precisely to pull us out of alignment so that we can be controlled more easily, and not just by the government, but by unseen forces that are not necessarily the deep state and all the rest of that, but it's spirit world. And then you have all the ETs from off planet, some of which would like to come in and basically take over. They're not going to take over our government. They're not going to take over our industries. They're going to take over our physical vehicle body because those ETs don't have a physical vehicle body. They don't have a physical vessel that can function on the physical dimension. They don't have one. They need one if they want to function on the physical dimension, which is obviously something that they want to do. Now, the Mayans and the Bible and the dolphins talk about the whole zombie thing and it coming up now next. For you to be a traditional zombie, because now it turns out there's more than one type of zombie. A traditional zombie, you have to have your spirit astral body disassociated, empty space, and then another spirit comes in, and now all of a sudden they can function on the physical dimension. When you see those people that are acting so weird and crazy, or they do something awful and they say, the devil made me do it, that's what they're talking about. It wasn't them inside the physical body. Unfortunately, it's your responsibility. You're responsible. Even if a spirit comes in that's not you and you're kind of hiding in the corner, your spirit, you're still responsible. Your responsibility is to stay intact in terms of all your energy body aligning with your physical. In the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, the line that we are taught says, deliver us from evil. In other words, we're victims. Please deliver us, God. That is not what it said. That was the Greek translation. The original in Aramaic says, help us to be in the present. What does in the present mean? The only place where time applies is on the physical dimension. Your spirit, once it misaligns with your physical body, is not ruled or dominated or controlled by time. So help us to be in the present means that your spirit is inside your physical body. Thank you, Eric. What is his name? Edgar Tolle. I forgot his first name. That's all he talks about. Disassociation, being in the present. Being in the present means your spirit, may the force be with you, that force, your spirit force, your astral spirit force, is inside the assemblage of body the way it's supposed to be. But we're not, and we're not taught that. And in the Lord's Prayer, we're not taught that either, because we have a translation that's very bad. Now, did they do that on purpose? I'm coming to understand that not everything is a conspiracy. Was that a conspiracy? I don't know. Whatever it is, we didn't get the right information. And if you read the Lord's Prayer in English, but from the Aramaic, without going through Greek or any other translation, you'll go, I don't recognize any of this. When I read it, I cried, because it is totally about your energy bodies and how you get yourself into trouble and how you can get yourself out of trouble. So you should read it and then go back to everything that we're teaching here in this podcast, chat, etc. And you'll go, oh, that's in the Lord's Prayer. Yes, it is. Am I Catholic or Christian? No, I'm not. But you don't have to be to see wisdom in different places. You just have to have instinctive knowing. You just need to be able to witness and observe and have your instincts guide you, because truth has a resonance. And then eventually you're going to be able to do what I would love to have everybody learn how to do. You're going to be able to read people's mouth, the energy, and you're going to go, that person's lying. How do you know? Do you know anything about that situation? No. But look at all that black. They're talking and the black is oozing out of their mouth. Or that person's saying the truth. No, they're not. That's a storyline. Look at their mouth. It's all white. The energy coming out, which looks like almost like a liquidy jello, is white. They're not lying. I mean, maybe they don't know the truth that you know, but they don't think that they're lying. They're not lying. Everybody can do that. I discovered that decades ago. I was in a zoning meeting. The building that I bought an apartment. I bought a penthouse. Not a big deal. It was a small apartment, but it was the penthouse. And they forgot to waterproof the roof. The problem is that the roof, I had 1,500 square feet of roof as my patio. I know that sounds weird and it sounds like it's incredibly expensive. It wasn't that expensive. It was really nice. They forgot to waterproof the roof. My God. So anyway, and they were not apologetic about it, about all the water that came into my apartment and ran down the stairs. And okay, so I'm in this zoning meeting in which we're issuing this complaint, and somebody else had an issue that the city was questioning them on. And so the guy got up there and they were very, self-righteous and whatever. And he's talking and he sounded totally reasonable. And then I went, the guy's lying. He was completely lying. There's all this black oozing out of his mouth. And I went, wow, wait till everybody learns how to, wait till everybody calms down enough and has enough trust in themselves that they allow their intuition to flow freely because it's there anyway. They respect it, and then they do what I have done for many years, decades. I get a piece of information and I don't run out and do something with it. Today I can because I can trust enough, but I look at it and I let it sit there, and then I see what else comes up, and I find out whether this that I saw, felt, not the thing with the mouth, that's just like black and white. That's easy. But you start to play with this. What is your intuition telling you? Now, for that, you cannot have a cell phone on your body, and you certainly can't sleep with a cell phone. So I'm going to switch subjects, and then we're going to do a mantra about faith. Because with everything that is going on, your energy center at the top of your head, which is the crown energy center, crown chakra, which is what connects you to spirit, to off planet, to God. You don't believe in God, it's not an issue. There's something that comes in that's a nectar that comes in through the crown chakra. And here's the trick: the crown chakra is about faith, but it is also totally involved having to do with Alzheimer's and dementia and the mind. But if the crown chakra is open, which means that it's doing good, your root chakra, which is in between your legs, the bottom of your torso of your body, which has to do with prosperity and security and safety. If the crown chakra is open, the root chakra is fine. Even if you're poor as church mice, they work together. So you don't have to slog it out having to do with getting enough money. And if everything is falling apart, go to your crown chakra, make sure that stays open. How do you do that? Crystal bowls are very good for that. Contact with nature. The mantras about being a master, and the mantras about having faith. And today I had a very interesting experience. I was explaining to somebody, because they were asking me if I believe that you could put things inside people's head, and I was afraid to answer the question. The answer is yes, but I was afraid to answer the question because I was afraid what they might think about that. And I said, actually, the answer is yes. And it's actually something one of my housekeepers taught me. And it is that you can send telegrams to people. And you can do this with the issue with faith, with people, they just want to die, they don't want to live, nothing is ever going to get any better, everything is awful. You can say to God, God, this is for my sister, my mother, whatever, myself. And you keep repeating the words, I trust, I trust, I trust, I trust. And that clears the crown chakra. The repetitiveness of that word, of that concept, and it can be other concepts, sent to someone else with your intention, can totally shift. Once that opens up, it's like somebody took a weight off of you, and you're looking at everything, and it's no longer as dark and as dreary. And, hey, we can get this done. Yeah, it's a big deal, but you know what? We've done it before. We can get this done. Okay? We can get this done. So why don't we go ahead and do that now? Because I think that with everything that people are saying is going to happen, and the fact that it was said 5,000 years ago, and it certainly looks like things are very complicated and can get really bad really quickly, the whole faith thing is really, really, really important. That you have a grip on that, because if everything's falling apart around you, there is no other energy center, I think, that you need to really pay attention to. It's not the heart center, which is a lovely center, but the truth of the matter is, to really open up the heart center at a time when people are dying and screaming and what, not really. You need to go to the top. Faith that whatever you're seeing and witnessing and living through, it's going to be okay. This too shall pass. We're going to get out of this somehow. This is going to be okay somehow. It's called faith. Crown chakra. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay? I am carrying my dog. So it's called a telegram. Telegram mantra. Okay? I love it. And it's I trust. I trust and I trust, and you just keep going. Okay? So let's go ahead and get the music that's for your teeth and your bones and really bothers the spirits that are in the jaws, which are really bad news. And just send this word, this telegram mantra to the top of your head, a little bit below the top of your head, and breathe into that area. So you can go ahead and start, and I am going to, you know what? I'm not sure I want to do that. Well, let's try this combination. This is for the root chakra because the root works with the crown. Let's see how this works. Okay. So, how do you feel? I was able to get the movement that I wanted at the top of my head. How do you feel? And what are you going to do when you read a piece of news or get a piece of news through a phone call, a text, or whatever that is shocking and upsetting? What are you going to do? The Om is the sound of the universe. The Om keeps the crown open. Quick story, which I've said before, but it's too important. I was in some kind of an event, and there was a line of people, and for each one of them, I would read. I'd do a sketch really quick, 5 minutes. Next, and I read for a little girl, and I went, "God, your center axis is so open. Wow, you're full of light." Next, um, this man who was her father, I sketched him. I said, "Wow, you're full of light. What is this?" He said, "Oh, we listen to your radio show, and so we do Om all day long and all night long." Om, which I thought was so silly with all the people that used to do that in the New Age movement. So anyway, he was contending that that was keeping that channel open, crown chakra. They were full of light. So next person is a kid, and I sketch him. He's got issues, and then the man says, "This is my son. You just sketch," and my daughter. I said, "Well, you and your daughter are full of light. You both do the Om. What about you?" And I asked the guy, the boy, and the father said he doesn't do it. And the boy said, "No, I don't do it." I said, "You know something? You should do it because I didn't know you were a family, and you do not look like your father and your sister, and your life is not going to be full of light," which is the case for most of us. It's not going to be full of light. So whatever happens, you go to the Om. That vibration opens us up. You receive light. Light is information. Has nothing to do with religion. It's information. Light is information. And it connects to your root chakra, which has to do with prosperity. So when something shocking happens, you want to have faith. Faith that this is nothing bad lasts forever. I'm going to be able to handle this, whatever it is that would make you feel ultimately this is going to be okay. Bad problem, but ultimately it's going to be okay. So immediately go for the Om and just keep visualizing this part of you. And then don't over radiate yourself and try to have a lot of contact with nature. And if you can dive into a swimming pool or into the ocean or take a nice shower with the top of your head, when you have a panic attack, if you take a shower, it's very hard for the panic attack to continue because it's a spirit attacking you. Spirits don't like water. They don't like the water element and they don't like the earth element. So remember that. If there's shocking news, which we're getting every day, but if there's something particularly shocking, you can't help yourself. And in a land where everybody's depressed, cannot look up, can't think clearly, if you can keep your head clear and keep your faith, which means you're going to be brighter, more intelligent, more savvy, more intuitive, you're going to be fine. You will be fine. Okay? We will see you again tomorrow. And thank you for joining me.